Hey, it's Drybear. Diablo 4 Season 2 has been out for a couple days and we've been able to get our hands dirty with it. We've seen Uber Duriel dropped in the game already. We've seen Uber Uniques drop in the game already. So today I want to talk about one of the major new mechanics for Season 2, the Blood Harvest, and why you should be doing it. Don't mind the gameplay. I'm crazy enough to do an Incinerate Sorc. I'm trying to do some channeling builds to see how much they've changed since Season 1, so we'll be testing that, so as we got in the background here. But the Blood Harvest is exactly what you should be doing because it's actually super dense and very rewarding. We weren't sure what to expect with Blood Harvest, considering the fact that the tunnels in Season 1 for Season of Malignant were pretty underwhelming. The XP amount was pretty poor, the amount of loot that you were getting was pretty poor. The only real reason to do them was primarily just to get the Malignant Harks and no other reason. So if you're looking for progressing your Paragon glyphs or leveling your character or getting good gear, most of the times you could just pretty much ignore the seasonal activity and do everything else you were doing already. And so we kind of went into Season 2, the Season of Blood, expecting the same. And I actually am surprised to say that the Blood Harvest is super worth it. Now, if you didn't know, the Blood Harvest is always active and you have to be, I think you have to skip campaign, you have to be on a seasonal character in order to see it. You'll see it just like this. It is this kind of like sea green color on the map. It exists just like the Helltide does. However, there's no downtime. The Helltide has a little bit of a downtime when it ends, the new one pops up. However, the actual Blood Harvest here shows up the second it disappears. And on top of that, something that we've never seen for any of the overworld activities like Helltide. In Helltide, you collect the cinders, and then when the Helltide is over, you lose all of your cinders. And on top of that, you lose half your cinders when you die. So it's super punishing, and a lot of times the time spent can be lost if you don't time it properly and optimize it. However, they shocked us with Season 2 because when you're going to the Blood Harvest, and you've entered into the area, you can see in the top right, there is the time left on the Blood Harvest event, and there's also 2 unique currencies that you can collect, which are the Blood Lures here, and then the keys as well to open chests. And what's great about Blood Harvest is both of these currencies carry over to the next Blood Harvest, which means that the amount that you have, you will always have until you spend it on something. Even if the Blood Harvest ends and the new one instantly pops up somewhere else, when you go to the new area, you will still have the same amount. Now, I don't know why they don't retroactively add this for Helltide. I think it would make Helltide a lot more enjoyable by comparison, but I am happy that they did this for the Blood Harvest specifically. Now, let's talk about the primary reason why you'd want to do Blood Harvest in the first place. As we know, most of these activities in the game have a unique item or reward that you need from that activity, and you have to do it to get it. Usually you get Forgotten Souls and Fiend Roses from Helltide in order to modify your gear and enchant. You do the Nightmare Dungeons so that you can actually get and level up your glyphs, which is super important. And that's pretty much it. Those are the 2 activities that have the requirements built onto them. So when you're looking at things like the Blood Harvest, you want to level up your seasonal mechanics that came along with Season of Blood. The first one is going to be, it's probably the best source for your potent blood, which can be seen here inside. If you don't know, you can press I. If you have the season activated, you go to Vampiric Powers, which is a tab here inside your inventory. You click that and you'll be able to see your Vampiric Powers, all the powers you have equipped and the things you have activated. And you collect potent blood from several sources. And one of the best sources is doing the Blood Harvests. This is how you unlock most of your vampiric powers and how you level them up as well. So you want to be collecting potent blood all throughout the season and then spend it by activating this button when you have 25 and putting that XP into a glyph or into a vampiric power, either one you don't have that you want to unlock or one that you want to level up to make stronger, to make these effects actually function properly. So that's the number one thing that you want to do with this activity is you are wanting to actually make these stronger and collect them. And if you're wondering, you're kind of new this season, you're wondering why you don't have all of these vampiric powers listed here, just get some vampiric blood, click this, and then collect the ones you don't have, and it should show up. There's a small number of them that are unlocked either through the Hunter's Acclaim board or through quests, which are pretty easy and early on in the seasonal quest line, but that's how you get those powers to level up. So you're doing it primarily to get potent blood. The other thing that you want to do is doing the Hunter's Acclaim board, which is effectively a reputation system. When you go to the Blood Harvest and do the activities and you're inside of these and doing them, you'll get Hunter's Acclaim, saving civilians, killing vampires, killing the Bloodseekers, summoning the council and killing them, doing these whispers that are inside of it. All of that is super useful to do, and all of it will give you Hunter's Acclaim. And as you rep up on the Hunter's Acclaim, the Hunter's Acclaim board will actually progress, which is going to be super useful for you because it gives you all of these rewards here and does unlock 2 unique glyphs. One of them is super useful, the Vampiric Power Accursed Touch. You'll be getting loot from this as well, and as you level this up, you'll get more and more as you go along, which isn't super necessary outside of just the powers, but it is nice to have, and it is kind of helpful as you clear out the Blood Harvest. But to my surprise, that isn't the only reason why you want to do Blood Harvest. I've been testing it a bunch over the last few days, and I can tell you that it's actually also an exceptional source of gear. The blood seekers that you find and kill most of the time will drop a legendary between them. So if there's 2 blood seekers, you usually get, 1 at least. Sometimes you get unlucky, you get none, but you do get them pretty often. I've also found that there's a very high concentration of treasure goblins throughout the area. The areas themselves aren't as big as the Helltide areas, which means that they're easy to navigate and you can stay inside them as well. And on top of that, something that is massive and huge, every single Blood Harvest area always has a couple whispers in it. So when you go to do the Blood Harvest, usually what I'll do is I'll go to the Blood Harvest, clear out all the whispers, get all the Grim Favors that come from that, and then usually by the end of the Blood Harvest or every other Blood Harvest, you'll get yourself a whisper cache that came from just doing Blood Harvest activities. So it's a good source of legendaries, which means that it can also be a good source of uniques. As you start progressing further and further into the game. The chests that you open give you your seasonal material, which all stacks, and it doesn't have to have a whole bunch of them like Season 1, and you also get a large amount of experience. And there's a couple things you want to be aware of when it comes to using Blood Harvest for experience as well, because some of these activities are actually insanely valuable. The first one is you obviously get a bunch from the whispers themselves, and remember, if you're new to the game, you can very easily just select the actual whisper, the Grim Favor activity on the map, and when you click on it becomes your active quest. It'll show up on the right side and it'll track it on your map as well. This functions just like quests. I see a lot of players that don't realize this. You can actually just mark these and it'll show you and track them very easily, especially the ones that are like kill 25 Magi and 25 Crimson Blades, things like that, or kill 150 ghouls. When you click it, you can actually track the number on your screen, which makes it much easier. And of course, they upped the amount that you get when you turn in the whispers, which gives you a huge bonus of XP. But there's another activity I want to make sure you're aware of, and that is the vampiric siphons. These things are a huge source of experience as well, and they look just like this. So what you'll do is you'll see this kind of just generic objective marker on your minimap, and when you go towards it, you'll see there's just this siphon sitting here. When you hover over it, it says vampiric siphon on it. And these are effectively a race to the death. How long can you last in this King of the Hill style encounter? And when you can't last any longer, you just want to break the tether and end it. So the way this functions is you'll go and you'll click the vampiric siphon. When it activates, it'll create this ring around the area. And as long as you stay within that ring, it's like a Mr. Beast video. Stay in the ring for 100 days and you get a Lamborghini. It's basically the same thing. However, the downside is that this internal siphon here is going to constantly be draining your HP, and it gets more and more aggressive over time. However, as you kill enemies, it will heal you. So the faster you kill, the more you heal yourself and keep yourself alive. And this keeps scaling and scaling and scaling. Eventually, elites will start spawning and fighting you. And then eventually after that, blood seekers will start hunting you as well. And so, as we know, not only do blood seekers give a good amount of XP, but they also do give good loot on top of that. And you have the elites on top of that as well. So you want to stay in this as long as you possibly can, until the point where you're out of potions, you're out of defensive cooldowns, and you think you're literally a second away from dying. Then jump out of the circle, the event will end. But if you last long enough to at least get the blood seekers to hunt you down, you'll get a bunch of loot, a bunch of XP, and it scales with the difficulty bonus on the world tier and whatever consumables you have active. It's a massive chunk of XP if you can really farm these vampiric siphons. So try to plan around them when you do see them pop up. Keep in mind that a lot of the objectives that exist inside of Blood Harvest have a duration on them. Sometimes they'll just disappear from view. But when you see these vampiric siphons, I want you to just look, make sure you're stocked up, you have everything off cooldown, and you jump in and you start it and just do your best to stay inside of it. And you can even work with a partner or a group to try and just jump in and out and make sure someone's always in the circle to keep it going. You can see that the longer it goes, the more damage you take, the more danger it is to stay in the circle. And of course, you can just pop out if you feel like you're about to die, but just stay there as long as you can. You get a bunch of adds, a bunch of XP, especially once you've leveled up the Smoldering Ash, which gives you monster XP, which means these are super dense, super useful, and just kind of stay in it. Pop your defensives, pop your potions, jump around. You don't want to run away too much because you are healing when you're killing enemies. So make sure you are killing fast enough to keep that health flowing in when you're killing enemies, but also don't stay in so long that you end up getting absolutely screwed. Then once you're done, pop out, end the process, and then finish off the Bloodseekers that are there. You'll get a bunch of blood lures. Sometimes you'll get keys, sometimes you'll get legendaries, and a boatload of XP. So these were my favorite activities, and you even get Hunter's Acclaim on top of that as well. Now, the other activity I want to highlight is summoning the Blood Council. Anytime you look and go to the minimap, you'll see this Blood Harvest icon in the middle of it, in the very center here, that will show you where the Blood Harvest Council is, and it shows you the timer as well. When you go to that location, you will see 3 blood lure pedestals. And when you first walk up to this, it's actually kind of confusing how it works, but each of these pedestals requires 50 of these blood lures to activate, and you need to activate all 3 of them before the timer on Blood Harvest ends to summon the Blood Council. This is huge, and you want to be kind of prepared to summon this together. What I've been doing since I play solo is just saving up 150, and then when you do it, you want to drop it and do it here. I'm doing this live, so I'm probably going to die here, but just be aware that that is there. Now, if you want to be in a group and each person saves up 50, if you have 3 or you have 2 people, each person saves up, one does 100, one does 50, since you can't send it over. You want to be doing this pretty much every blood harvest if you can. It's a very easy way to get any of the whispers done, because most of the time the slaying ones or collecting the orbs ones or even objectives, the obstacles are super nice. Getting that done is also super useful. But then on top of that, you do have to do at least one of these for the chapter requirement. I think it's chapter 3 of the seasonal journey does require you to do this at least once, and prevail as well. It does give you a bunch of XP, a bunch of bonus, and a bunch of loot on top of that. So if you have enough blood lures saved up, or if you're in a group and you want to start rotating all those blood lures so that people use them at different times, you can get insane amounts of value out of summoning this Blood Council every single blood harvest, on top of doing all the whispers, summoning the Bloodseekers, and of course doing the vampiric summons. Even just completing the one that I just summoned for you live, I got a total of 7 legendary drops from that, plus a whole bunch of these packs on top of that, and of course you get the progress done. It's a bunch of XP. I leveled up from it. You get the blood lures, you can finish the whispers. So kind of like Helltide, where you're saving up the cinders to buy the mystery chest and to get the bonus XP you get from that. You want to get enough to buy the mystery chest and then move on to the next Helltide. I think for the blood harvest, what you want to do is you want to go to the blood harvest, finish all of the whispers if you can, get them all done until all the grim favors are acquired. Then if you've saved up enough of the blood lures, summon the council at least once per blood harvest, and then open all the chests that you can, and you'll get bonuses from that as well. And then move on to the next blood harvest, and they're up 24/7. As soon as one goes down, a new one spawns, which is huge. And you'll even happen what just happened just now, where I finished the blood council, and as soon as I was about to leave, a group came in and summoned it again. So they're using their materials. I'm gonna be able to kill it again. It's gonna be another 5 to 7 legendaries and a whole bunch of loot and XP and more blood lures and more keys on top of that, plus more blood seekers. The blood harvest is just absolutely insane. So that's all I'm saying. Get in there and get after it, especially the siphons. Those are super nice. So if you found value in the video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and I'll see you on my live stream. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.